Now, this is Don Lemon reading the leaked text that Tucker Carlson put up on January 4th, 2021. But also notice that Don Lemon does not reveal who he was texting to.
Listen, these text messages are between Tucker Carlson and what he wrote about Trump is amazing. I'm just going to read the entire text message because I think it's important, and I don't want to dumb it down here. It says, "We are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I hate him passionately. I blew up at Peter Navarro today in frustration. I actually like Peter, but I can't handle much more of this. That's the last 4 years. We are pretending that we've got a lot to show for it because admitting what a disaster it's been, too tough to digest. But come on, there isn't really any upside to Trump." That's pretty harsh.
Now we're going to go to a video Tucker Carlson did on August 15, 2022. Tucker Carlson, no honest person could believe this. And this is in regards to the raid on Trump's property while the FBI were seeking to gather up classified documents. And this is also done before they found classified documents in 3 different locations on Joe Biden's property, and classified documents were found at Mike Pence's property. So let's just play a little bit of this clip and tell me if this sounds like somebody that still passionately hates Donald J. Trump.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Happy Monday. We've had a few days to reflect on it and have concluded that no honest person could believe that the raid on Donald Trump's home last week was a legitimate act of law enforcement. It was not. Even the Biden administration didn't really bother to pretend otherwise. The official explanations that we have heard for the raid make no sense at all. It doesn't matter how forcefully they are repeated by the media, they're nonsensical. In case you've forgotten what they are, here's the very first explanation they gave us.
Why did this guy have these ultra-classified documents in the basement of Mar-a-Lago, unsecured, where they could be presumably broken in on or stolen or photographed and given to hostile foreign powers or conceivably even terrorists?
Are you listening to this? So it's not just classified documents in the basement of Mar-a-Lago, but according to Michael Beschloss, the pet historian of the half-wits who run our country, these are ultra-classified documents, the most classified kind, just sitting there helpless in boxes like maidens in bikinis waiting to be photographed by terrorists. You just imagine Al-Qaeda taking selfies with these documents, one after the other relentlessly, repulsive and terrifying. Is it true? At this point, no one has provided proof that it is true, not that august historians like Michael Beschloss wait around for actual evidence before pronouncing final judgment on cable news shows. They just go ahead. But for the sake of argument on our show, we're going to say that it is in fact true and that Donald Trump did in fact have boxes of classified documents sitting in his cellar. Let's say that's true. What would it mean? Well, what it means depends in part on what the documents were. Did those documents contain meaningful information? Should they have been classified in the first place? Is there a good reason the rest of us should not have been allowed to see those documents? Now, you never hear those questions asked in public, but anyone who lives in Washington knows perfectly well they should be asked in public, a lot. Because in Washington, virtually anything can qualify as an official state secret, and often does. In 2011, to name one of many examples, the CIA finally declassified a trove of documents from the First World War. These documents dated back to 1917, almost 100 years before. One of these documents, the most ultra-secret of them, contained a recipe for disappearing ink. Now, why would federal bureaucrats spend an entire century hiding an outdated recipe for ink that you can buy legally in any magic store for your 5th grader? Good question. No one asked it. Instead, then CIA Director Leon Panetta issued a press release bragging about how he was giving the secret ink recipe to a grateful public. Quote, "These documents remained classified for nearly a century until recent advancements in technology made it possible to release them," Panetta wrote. "When historical information is no longer sensitive, we take seriously our responsibility to share it with the American people." Now, there's no hint whatsoever that Panetta was joking when he wrote that. "You're welcome, America. Here's your century-old ink recipe." Again, this was in 2011, so think it through. You had to wonder, what recent technological advancements was Leon Panetta talking about in the press release, and just how recent were they? Was Panetta actually saying that CIA spies were still communicating in World War I era disappearing ink as of, say, 2010? Or even as of 1950? Please. It was bizarre. Of course, it was another lie from the people in charge.
Now, of course, Tucker Carlson will probably most likely be responding to what CNN is posting right now about him. And understand that Tucker Carlson has over 10 million subscribers. 10,400,000 subscribers. So he gets a lot of views on every video he does. And a lot of people, like myself, will actually take videos from his Fox News channel and use them in their videos, so he gets more exposure that way. But this video and all videos that I use to make this video, the description, open that up, and you'll find links to every video I use. And this one is so good, I'm going to have it pop up in the upper left-hand corner. You can just click on that right after this video is done to see this whole video that Tucker Carlson is doing here, where the title is Tucker Carlson, Voters Are No Longer in Charge. And this is an amazing video. It's got 45,000 likes. And it's a shame that ever since Biden got in office, because the White House YouTube channel was getting so many dislikes, they changed that algorithm to where you can only like a video and the dislikes don't show up. But with this, here's Tucker Carlson explaining why voters are no longer in charge. I'll play about 4 minutes of this, and then the link to the full video will pop up in the upper left-hand corner. Seek the truth daily. The truth will find you seeking.
You may not remember a whole lot about it, but the second and final presidential debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump is actually a fascinating piece of history, and it's well worth re-watching. We actually did it today because we had time off. Now, Trump showed up with a political kill shot. He had proof that Joe Biden had been selling access to the U.S. government to hostile foreign regimes. Trump knew that, and we know it, from the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop. But Joe Biden, as you may recall, did not even respond. That's Russian disinformation, he said. And then he went on the offense. Show us your tax returns, Biden demanded. Show us your tax returns. And of course, Trump refused. Biden, by contrast, had already set up a website called JoeBiden.com to showcase his own recent tax returns because he had nothing to hide. Unlike Donald Trump, you could trust Joe Biden. That was the message. Now, why are we telling you this tonight? Why are we dredging up history? Well, we're doing it because 2 years later, the roles have reversed in a bewildering and pretty remarkable and kind of hilarious way. So we now have Donald Trump's tax returns. House Democrats grab them, law and precedent and privacy be damned, privacy. And they release them to the public because Donald Trump is orange and bad and has no protections under the Bill of Rights. So now that we have Trump's tax returns, what do they show? Well, they show that Donald Trump got a lot poorer once he got into politics. In fact, he may be the only person in Washington you could say that about. Whatever you think of Trump, it turns out he was not in it for the money, hardly. As for Joe Biden, well, you can't say that about Joe Biden. Joe Biden has never had a private sector job. For more than 50 years, he has worked at your expense for the U.S. government. Yet somehow he's gotten rich in the process. How did that happen? How did Joe Biden do that? Well, Joe Biden does not want you to know. So now, and this is the great part, Joe Biden is the one who is hiding his tax returns. JoeBiden.com no longer links to Joe Biden's tax returns for the years 2016 to 2018. As of tonight, those links have been deactivated. If you go there, you will find yourself taken by force to a Democratic Party fundraising website. So, in other words, stop asking questions and give us money. But it does make you wonder what exactly was happening from 2016 to 2018 that Joe Biden might want to hide. Fair question, but no one in the media seems interested in finding the answer. We do know that during that same period, 2016 to 2018, there was a lot of weird accounting going on at Joe Biden's house in Delaware, the same house where yet another cache of classified documents was just found, yet another. In 2018, Hunter Biden was looking to rent property in California. Now, on a background check form as part of his rental application, Hunter Biden claimed that, in fact, he owned the Delaware house that Joe Biden, his dad, says that he owned. So they're both claiming to own the same house. Hunter Biden then also listed the address of that house as his primary residence on his driver's license, an official government document. Now, this is the very same home where Joe Biden has spent a third of his presidency, in addition to his beach house in Rehoboth, without maintaining any visitor logs. Now, this is worth knowing. Now, we don't know this because the New York Times or ABC News dispatched one of its crack reporters who found it. No. We know it because an anonymous Twitter account called @JJTalking found this background check form on Hunter Biden's laptop. Miranda Devine of the New York Post has also done extensive reporting on it. And the document raises quite a few questions, not all of which we can answer, by the way. But the obvious ones include, did Hunter Biden actually buy his father's home in Delaware? Was he making rent payments to live there? Does that amount that he was paying refer to another property? It was a big amount. On the form, Hunter Biden claims he's paying nearly $50,000 a month in housing costs. $50,000 a month. Where'd that money come from? You wouldn't think Hunter Biden would be able to earn that kind of money. Now, at the time, this was pre-laptop, but Hunter Biden had already been thrown out of the U.S. Navy for cocaine use. He'd already abandoned a rental car with a crack pipe inside, along with his ID. He had already left his wife for his sister-in-law. Now, all this was public information. So how did a disgraced drug addict with no job skills make enough money to make a $50,000 a month payment? Who was paying him? How much were they paying him? And why were they paying him? And by the way, why did classified documents keep appearing in homes that Hunter Biden lived in? Those seem like fair questions.